have a son that lives here in Maricopa. I have 6 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
And I've traveled a lot. My husband was alive. I traveled a lot. I've traveled a lot since he died. And I can tell you something about my personality. People want to know, what's my secret. I don't know what they think. I'm so different. I'm not sure I'm so different. But I think they compare me to other people who are younger than me that are not as agile probably, or not wanting to have fun the way I'm a very happy person.
Mm-hmm.
I make friends very easily, and I'm very spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
But my main secret is, it's not even a secret, it's attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Attitude means a lot to me. I can meet you, and I don't judge you immediately. I don't judge Louis. I have to kind of get to know you. But I'm not the kind that studies people immediately, because I'm gravitated to people quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to be friends with everybody, and I want to hug people. I'm a hugger.
Oh.
Yeah, and as far as living here, this was the best thing that I could have done. And the reason I finally did come here is because I did have a home, and I lived alone after my husband died. I tried to take care of everything myself, and then it gets, after a while, when you have property, things begin to deteriorate or need repairs or replacement. And I was getting a little anxious about it. I didn't like the idea. But what really convinced me to come here was, I decided I was going to move this couch one night, and I injured my back. And I thought, well, this is not the time to stay in this house alone. You better move. So I discussed it with my children, and my son and my daughter came here to help me move. And of course, we traveled around to look at some of the other facilities, and we liked this one the best.
Mm.
So I'm very happy here, and I just love the waiters and waitresses there. Such good workers and so congenial. I just love you guys so much, Louis. I really do. I hated to see the other guy leave. What's his name?
Shamir.
Yeah, I really hated to see him leave. But I'm still driving,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I've kind of gotten people to get up and have more fun, a happy time, right? Get them up to dance when we're having fun.
So you're telling me that you have this, like you gravitate towards people. It's really easy to make friends. You don't judge them right away, and it's like a choice that people make. Like, have you always felt that way? Or have there been a few events in your life where like, wow, I really have to choose like love and acceptance first?
Not really. I see, my thing is I like people, and I don't want to judge anybody, because there are people here that are not very well liked by other people. But I don't know what those people are thinking or suffering, the ones that are being judged, I mean. Because we all have something that maybe we don't want to reveal. Or we may have an ailment, we don't want someone to know that we have it, But, and I kind of go to the people that, if I see someone is lonely, I feel so bad for them. So I immediately go over and introduce myself and get them to converse. And I've been doing that so much lately because we're getting so many new people in. But I don't know what else. You can ask me anything you want.
Yeah. No, definitely. So you make that choice all the time to like go out to people and be creepy. Why do you think people don't make that choice? Why do people like choose to be lonely, or like why do people choose to be sad or like hateful? Do you think?
Well, like now this evening, I had my dinner, and I went and sat with a gentleman that was sitting alone, but I know him. I said, "Do you mind if I sit with you?" He said, "Oh no, come on, no." And then another woman came and sat with us, and we conversed. And I noticed there was a couple that were new to me. So I said to my group, I think I'm going to go over to those people. I want to introduce myself and find out who they are. Well, I want to tell you, I did go over to them, and they're new here. His name is Alex, and her name is Teresa. Now, I'm pretty good at remembering names.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so grateful that I went over to talk to them. And she says, you make me feel so comfortable now. See, that's all it takes. And then I went over to another table. This woman is in Journey, I think, or Memory, someplace on that other side. And Rose, her name is Rose, and her daughter comes with her, the daughter's husband. So I went over to talk to them. And they think it's wonderful that I talk to them, but that's the way I am. I love people, and I don't ever want to condemn anybody or find fault, because it's easy to find fault, you know.
Okay, so if you had to, so that's a beautiful message, and like, you said you're turning 98. Like my grandma's turning 92, and she's like, you can just see it in your eyes, you know, like it follows in tracks. Like my grandma sits down, she's 92, and I love her to death, but she's not very. It's more than just being active. It's like present, you know, sharp, like quick.
Well, you know what,
I mean?
though? What is your name?
Spencer.
Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be in the person. See, I'm basically a happy person.
Mm-hmm.
And I love life. I mean, I'm ready to go if the good Lord wants me, but in the meantime, I don't want to go right now. I want to stay a little bit longer, you know, because I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Now, I'm going to be going away again in June. I haven't traveled for a couple of, well, let's see, maybe 2 years I have not traveled. But I am going back for a granddaughter's wedding.
Back to the Pittsburgh area.
I'm going back to New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've gone to Germany a couple of times. I've gone to Italy a couple of times. I've gone to China. I've gone through the Panama Canal.
Oh, wow.
I've been to the jungle areas. I've really had a good life. Good life. I'm not sorry. As a matter of fact, when I was 95 years old, I decided I was going to write a story about myself, but it was more about where I was born, about my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote parts of what I knew of my parents, because both my parents came from Italy. I was born here, and then I had 2 sisters and a brother, so I wrote about them too, you know. So it was an interesting little story, and I gave one to each of my children.
Mm.
But I didn't really talk much about my travels, just that I did travel to the different places. But my kids know me pretty well.
Is there a story you really wanted to like write down or tell them that you didn't? Like, is there one travel story you have in your head? I know you probably have so many, but is there one story you have that really sticks out to you as like the coolest or most memorable?
The one that's most memorable, oh God, I'm going to start crying. My husband was in the service. He was in Patton's Army, 3rd Armored Division, that's what they called it. And he was gone for 4 years, and when the war was over, I kept looking at the newspaper to see if his battalion was listed for coming back here to the States. And my husband was always one for keeping secrets. He liked to surprise you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I called my mother-in-law and I said, have you heard anything from Ted? And she says, no. And then I thought, she's lying, you know, because they wanted, everything had to be a real surprise. But anyway, I started getting ready for my husband to come home. I was so excited. I'm going to fix my bedroom. I made new curtains, and I was making a blue room, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I was so busy this one evening. It was a winter night, December the 12th. And I'm in the kitchen ironing these curtains, and there's a knock on the door. Come in, because where I lived, we never locked our doors, and we just said, come in when someone knocked. So sure enough, again it knocked 4 times. So finally my father said, well, open the door, see who it is. So I had to step outside because I couldn't see. We had a storm door there too. I opened the one door and then I had to open the other one. And when I stepped out there, there's my husband in uniform with a duffel bag on his back. His face is so ruddy, and and he had his army uniform on. It was such a joyful embrace, it was wonderful. And then, of course, our life got even happier as we started housekeeping, and we had our first son. Then we moved to New Jersey. So it was an interesting life. But unfortunately, my husband, we were married 53 years.
Wow.
But he died of cancer. But I kept on plugging away, and here I am.
So cool.
Yeah.
How old were you when you were ironing the sheets and your husband and Ted came back?
Oh, okay, let me think now. I was in my 30s. Early, I must have been about 30, maybe 29, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But he was, and he was a very bashful man when we first met,
Like shy?
He was shy, but I'm the outgoing type, so we got along just great.
Awesome. So
I don't know what else you want to ask
No,
me.
so the question I ask everyone, I've talked to so many people on this. I'm so glad I've had the chance to talk with you.
Well, I'm glad I got to talk to you, Spencer.
Yeah.
Are you doing a project for school or something?
No, I'm trying to interview 500 people with this question. It's the question I'm going to ask you right now. I think we're like in a very divided time, like in the United States, right? Whether it's racial, economic, social, Trump, Hillary, left, right, Bernie, or whatever it is. And in the world too, it's scary. Like we're scared of people in China. Some people are scared of people in other countries, the Middle East, Palestine. Like it seems like a scary thing. And so, but it seems to me, as at a Martin Luther King Day event, I started taking pictures of people in all races, all ethnicities, Mexican, Black, Hispanic, different languages, who are literally hanging out together.
Sure.
So I took their picture and sent them the question with the picture, like, hey, what do you think about this idea of universal brotherhood? And I expected like a response to sentence. But I got page responses, page and a half from like teenagers, older people, like all over the place. So the question I want to ask you is, you sort of answered already, but if we're to love each other as people and to come together, what is it that we have to do? Is, like you said, just reaching out to like somebody who's new? Is it making people feel accepted? You sort of answered the question already, but if you want to mind just one more time about
Well,
that. And what keeps us from doing that?
I think the first thing, we have to show love for people. And that's where the problem is. There's too much hate. For some reason, there is people who are racist. There are people that don't like certain nationalities. And that's sad. And I don't know how we could change it. I keep praying that something good happens because too many bad things are happening. So when we can have some kind of joy with people from foreign countries or wherever, or even in this country, there's people who are hurting here, people who need help, and maybe each one of us doing something to help, it could change the world. It's very pitiful to see what some of the people are suffering. And I feel like, I think sometimes I get angry with politicians, and then I think they're very mixed up too. But why are they fighting against one another? Why can't they harmonize? Why can't they really settle things? Sometimes I think if you put children together to ask them the questions that we expect the politicians to answer, these children could answer better. Because these politicians, well, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I don't want you to do this, I don't want you to do that. So it's really sad. And I pray for these politicians because I don't like what's going on. Boy, am I going on? My mouth is going
it's
too
so
long
good.
here,
I'm sorry
Louis.
for taking too much of your time. I have like one more question I'm sort of interested
Sure,
in.
go ahead.
So you've been in the United States for a while. Is this the worst it's ever been? Sorry. Like we had the thing with Russia where we thought we were gonna get nuked, like nuclear bombs. we had Lenin and Stalin, right? We had that, and then we had the Great Depression. I mean, I know we weren't around for all of this, but just in the history of the United States, what do you think about this time particularly, in relation to like the history we've been through?
Well, I grew up during the Depression, so I know what the Depression was like, but to be honest with you, I didn't know I was poor.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just managed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We managed to have food. I remember having to go to our school principal to see if I could get shoes because I was walking with paper in my shoes because I only had the one pair. And I was a young girl, and I was working for the Works Progress Administration making shirts. And my poor father, who had been a barber and was a professional all his life, ended up being a stone cutter for the Work Projects Administration. I mean, we lost a lot. We lost our home. But you know what? We survived. We just plugged on and plugged on. And I think the thing that I see that's happened the worst right now is the morals has gone downhill. When we were growing up, we were so respectful to parents and to people around us. And we were always told, you know, be careful, don't do this or don't do that. But I think there's so much freedom today to do what you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's healthy. You know, you see what's happening. And I feel bad for people that get pushed into maybe let's try this drug, just for one time. Before you know it, they're hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's bad. And I don't believe that we'll ever end with the drugs, because the cartel is doing such a wonderful job for themselves. So how do we stop it?
Mm-hmm.
They'll kill anybody that gets in their way, you know that.
I like what you said about responsibility. Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning, this guy was in a Nazi concentration camp, says that it comes down to choice, right? Well, that's a lot. But he also says that the more responsibility we get, or the more freedom we have, the more responsibility we need to have.
Absolutely.
And the freedom has gone up, like smartphones, access to drugs, access to sex, like whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then the responsibility, like morals, family structure, so to speak, maybe even going to church if that's what you do, has gone down. It hasn't kept up even, it's actually gone down.
It has.
So
really.
I have this whole huge gap, and this gap shows up in like responsibility, bad things, you know, misplaced emotions and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I heard echoes of that in your answer, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So are you a good boy?
Well, my mom doesn't like the hair, but.
Oh, I love it. I think it's. Well, you know what? I hope your mother doesn't try to convince you to cut your hair. I'll tell you why. When my boys were in college, my oldest son came home with a beard.
I'm going to show her this video, by the way, so keep going. This is
What,
good.
honey?
Oh, keep telling the story, I'm sorry.
But I tormented him so badly. Take that beard, you look terrible. I don't know why you have a beard. But you know, he shaved that beard, and I felt like this. I didn't realize that, you know, it was just a fad. Why did I have to be so darn hard on him? And I would never want to do that to anybody again. Now, why are you getting all this information?
Well, basically I sat down one day and I asked myself, what's literally the best thing I could do with my life?
Oh, you're doing this more for your benefit?
Yeah, I was a teacher for 2 years, and I did environmental conservation work. And so it's sort of it's something called intrinsically valuable. So it's like literally just talking to, like, I would never talk to you. I would never talk to this homeless guy I met in New York or Las Vegas, like never ever. But now I'm here and Louise brings me here, and it's just like there's such a connection. And I feel that connection with everyone I talk to and everyone who helps me with this project. We never feel that connection every day unless you're like in a church with your family. But I think all we have to do is literally step out and talk to people like this, and we'd be shocked. It's like, you did that? What? That's so cool. And there's so many stories around this place. Near Phoenix, I think, is the fifth thing. Anyway, so that's the point. But what I'm trying to do is show this and give the spark to other people too. So it's like you can see your answer, and then a homeless black guy from Little Rock, and then a college student who's doing a lot of drugs, and then a Muslim imam, and then I'm going to South America in 2 months, and you just see and Buddhist monks and Catholic priests and black and white. And I think we're gonna see that like your answer echoes throughout everyone's answer, because it's like what we have to do, but I just don't know what that is. And it seems like talking to lots of people is
Well,
the best
you know,
way to
we
find an
keep
answer.
trying, we
Mhm.
keep trying, and you're searching for an answer, right?
Mhm.
I guess we all are, when you think about it. But, you mentioned one thing, people have drifted away from the churches.
Mhm.
See, when I was growing up, we always went to church. And I've been that way as a child, and I've always been that way. Now, my children grew up, I had them going to church, yet they don't go to church. But that doesn't mean that they're no good because they don't go to church. Because they're doing so much good anyway. Now, my daughter, she's different. She goes to church, but she dropped out of our Catholic faith. She found a different religion, which is fine. We're all under one God. That's the way I feel about it. But I don't like to be critical of anybody because I don't know what they're thinking.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what the
I
Buddhist-
just know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, stay in your own lane, sort of like know what you have control over,
yeah.
and don't go for the beard, don't go for the hair, so to
That's
speak.
right, yeah.
Mhm. No, that's cool. St. Thomas Aquinas, the Catholic saint, said that love is building up the good of another,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Buddha says that love is the absence of judgment. You know, so you cannot judge someone, see the best, and try to like bring it up in them. That sounds like a good strategy.
Sure.
Maybe we should do that more often.
Yeah. Well, I went to a retreat yesterday, and it was very encouraging. And you know, it's all about loving one another. Really, it is.
Mhm.
And I just want to hug everybody. I'm a bear.
Nice. So we'll definitely get some hugs on the way out before we leave today.
Yeah, I'm happy that you came over. I hope that I satisfied you with some answers.
Oh, definitely. Like some things you said I'd never thought about before on this project. You know, like not knowing that you're poor, for example. It probably didn't matter so much when you were a child. I mean, it mattered, but like,
Well, you know
just
what?
like something
It made
else.
me a better person. To be quite honest with you, it really made me a better person. I've always been a responsible person,
Mhm.
and my morals were always good.
Mhm.
I worked in a defense plant during the war.
Mhm.
That was something.
Mhm.
That was something else. It was really interesting. I've even saved letters that my husband wrote to me. Do you know that he carried every letter I ever wrote to him? He brought them back to the States.
Mhm.
And then, after we had our third child, we went through all the letters and we discarded most of them. I still have a few, but I'm going to just burn everything. I don't have to leave them for anybody.
Mhm. Nice. That's actually the point of the project. It's called Love John Cooper. And John Cooper is my grandpa. And he died a few years ago, right? And he was a great guy, but he was a fantastic person. And he joined a country club that didn't allow black or brown people into it, and no Jews either. Right?
Oh.
But so he's such a great guy, and I always see him as my grandpa. I see him as such a loving guy who was always with me. But it's like there's this other side that if someone just saw this, they wouldn't see this, they'd just see the bad. And they wouldn't
Mhm.
see the good, nurturing grandpa that I know. And it's called Love John Cooper because it's sort of like if he was born to my generation, to my skin, I think he'd be more like me, more want to go around and meet other people. And he got caught up too much in like prestige and money and class and power.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you need power, you need to put other people down, whether it's directly or indirectly. So I call it Love John Cooper because it's like a love letter that I sort of feel like he's writing through me a little bit.
Well, you know, I think this business of power, I mean, we all like money, let's face it. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
But I've seen people move into this place, they bring everything. And you know, I learned you don't need a lot of stuff. I have the essentials, I'm happy.
Mhm.
I'm happy with what I have, I left a lot of stuff behind. Whatever didn't sell went to a charity.
Mhm.
And people see me and they say, they're wearing some of my clothes that I left behind. And I'll say, I want that back, I don't want you to wear it anymore. But, people learn that you could live without a lot of things.
I think that's true. You can go ahead, pause, that's cool.
Oh, I'm sorry.